What is poppin' YouTube? It is super important to be adding value to your Dynasty portfolios right now during this break, right before the NFL draft, and Jonathan Taylor is exactly that. And I hear you, Jonathan Taylor is not a buy low. Caleb, he's RB5 on keep trade cut. He's also 25 years old. He will be turning 26 this next year. There's no way that he's a buy low. Well, Jonathan Taylor injured starting off the season, and he was a pretty good buy low. If you would have bought low, probably week 1, week 2, week 3, finished RB12 on a points per game basis with 15.6 fantasy points per game. Now, like I said, RB5 on keep trade cut. It's not the best value. He's around guys like Jalen Waddle, Rome Odunze, a 2025 early first, a mid 2024 first. You're going to say that's pretty pricey. I mean, pretty much behind Brees, Jameer, Christian McCaffrey, and then Jonathan Taylor slides right in there as your RB5. And so you're going to be saying to me, Caleb, this feels like a sell high opportunity because of Jonathan Taylor and his age. And to be completely honest, I've been going back and forth on Jonathan Taylor. How do I view him honestly? And when we start to realize how many absolute bell cows there are in the NFL, the number is a lot less than it was a few years ago. And Jonathan Taylor is continuing to be an absolute workhorse. Even if we look in 2023, in the 10 games he played, 169 rushing attempts, 741 yards, 4.4 yards per carry, 19 receptions, 153 receiving yards, 8 total touchdowns for 15.6 fantasy points per game. Put him as the RB12. Now, if we look deep into the metrics, there was only 2 options on this Colts offense this year. Michael Pittman Jr. and Jonathan Taylor. Maybe a little bit of Zach Moss if you want to add that in. Josh Downs had himself some nice day. But Anthony Richardson should be able to unlock this Colts offense, which is really needed. I mean, we've been watching the Colts offense over the last 3 seasons rely so heavily on Jonathan Taylor that we literally saw an RB1 finish back in 2021. Now, granted, that was 3 seasons ago, so it has been a while. But we do know that Jonathan Taylor has that 20 point per game upside in him. And as we continue to add more wide receivers, as Dynasty fantasy football managers love these wide receivers, these top tier running backs, the points per game advantages, the warp that you're getting off these top guys is impressive. And I know the late round running back strategy, just get somebody so I can throw it in there, because Jonathan Taylor, if he were to get injured, his value tanks. Well, let's be clear. There's a lot of wide receiver twos, and I think the tide's starting to turn on the fact that the top tier running backs are going to continue to maintain and hold their value for you. So I like some Jonathan Taylor. I think he's a great buy low opportunity, because when we look at Fantasy Calc and what some trades that have gone down for Jonathan Taylor have been, we got a 2024 round 1 and second round pick for Jonathan Taylor and a third round pick. Now it's a start 9 format, 0.5 PPR. You got to get the studs, and Jonathan Taylor is a stud in this format. We move on to the next trade, and we got Jonathan Taylor and a 2024 round 1 pick for a 2024 round 1 pick. So that's assuming someone tiered down picked up Jonathan Taylor. So let's say that's someone going from the 104 to like the 108, 109, and then they throw in Jonathan Taylor. Listen, I would love the opportunity to get Jane Daniels. I'd love the opportunity to get Drake May. But if you are in a competitive situation where maybe you're more of a competitive team and you can knock down Jonathan Taylor as your RB1, as your RB2 for the next 2 seasons with that contract that he has, with the proven production, give me some Jonathan Taylor in that late first over maybe a higher first. Then we move on to this next other trade. We got Jonathan Taylor, 2024 round 1 pick, 2025 round 2 pick, 2 quarterback, 0.5 start 10. Granted, the start 10, start 9, you want the studs in this league, and give me some Jonathan Taylor there. So like, honestly, Jonathan Taylor for Jalen Waddle, that's another trade. I understand a lot of people love some Jalen Waddle. I understand. He was absolutely electric as a rookie, but give me some Jonathan Taylor in those deals. Now, the next guy that I think you should be going and buying low, he is going to be a veteran running back, and it is going to be Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, 28 years old, and his dynasty value continues to fall. But right now, he is valued at RB27. And I know we talked about the top tier talent. Can I get a Jonathan Taylor? If you would like some similar type production, a little bit cheaper, we don't know how long it's going to last, go trade for some Alvin Kamara, because RB3 on a points per game basis last year was 17.9. Now 6 total touchdowns, 75 receptions, 466 receiving yards, 3.9 yards per carry, 694 rushing yards. Now they have Kendre Miller. We'll have to see if they add someone else in the draft. We saw a little bit of Jamal Williams last season, but he was kind of hurt most of the year. Alvin Kamara continues to be the second best receiving option on that team after Chris Olave. Now, the Saints got rid of Michael Thomas, so we'll have to see who the Saints bring in opposite of Chris Olave, but I still very much so with Derek Carr being the quarterback. He's not a scrambler, likes to check it down. Alvin Kamara going into 2024 is someone that we really need to be taking a little bit more into consideration, because last year he was RB2 on targets. He had 87 targets last season, RB8 on weighted opportunities, RB6 on receiving yards, And I know with a target share, RB2 on a target share, RB11 on routes run, RB7 on route participation, RB4 on yards per route run, we're talking about Alvin Kamara being, they're essentially wide receiver 2 just coming out of the backfield. Now, I would love, if you need some running back help, to go get some Alvin Kamara. Because like we're saying right now on Keep Trade Cut, RB27. So when we're looking at guys around him, I mean, Zamir White, Jalen Warren, Ramondre Stevenson are all going ahead of Alvin Kamara, even though all those guys on a year-to-year basis are on a year-to-year basis are just younger. So people are going to love the ageism of that in the running back. But we know they're probably on the same trajectory as a guy like Alvin Kamara on a year-to-year basis. So give me some Alvin Kamara there. Then we look at some value adjacent players. We got Alvin Kamara around like Bo Nix, Zach Charbonnet, Brian Robinson, Zamir White, Cole Kmet, Romeo Dubs. Give me some Alvin Kamara. So if you have any of those guys, I might go try to trade that 1-to-1. But let's go see what in trade calc are some recent trades that have been happening. So we got Alvin Kamara for a 2024 round 2 pick. I know this class is loaded, but if it's like the 203, 204, give me some Alvin Kamara over that pick. And then we got another interesting, we got George Kittle, Alvin Kamara for Cole Kmet, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon versus Alvin Kamara. That's a pretty close debate. You could argue that. But then the George Kittle for me is what pops it over. I know a lot of people like Cole Kmet. They think Caleb Williams is going to save him. No, George Kittle is still the better tight end over the next 2 seasons. Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon are so close. I still have Alvin Kamara a little bit higher. I like Alvin Kamara a little bit. I still have Joe Mixon as a buy low too, but give me some Alvin Kamara, George Kittle in that side. Then move on to another one, and it's Alvin Kamara and a 3rd round pick for a 2024 round 2 pick. 1 quarterback, 12 team, 0.5 PPR, start 8. We just talked about Alvin Kamara in any type of PPR format. My man's value absolutely skyrockets. It's absolutely insane. Then we got Alvin Kamara for the 2024 pick 207. Who are you getting at the 207 that's going to be more valuable than Alvin Kamara the next 2 years? You're going to have to absolutely hit on that 2nd round pick for it to provide that type of value. So Alvin Kamara is a clear buy low for me. Let me know what you think of Alvin Kamara down below in the comments. Next guy that I think you need to be buying, and I think he's a great buy low right now, is Dak Prescott. Now, there's a lot of things happening with this Cowboys offense, talking about Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott's contract situation. Are they going to roll with a guy like Trey Lance? Is this going to be the last year? Is he going to get a contract extension? Because Dak Prescott, for as much as he played, QB4 on a points per game basis this last year. So it's not bad. He was QB9 in 2021, QB13 in 2022, so that wasn't absolutely great. But back in 2020, when he only played the 5 games before he broke his foot, 27.9 fantasy points per game. My guy was absolutely balling out through those first 5 games. So we've seen elite level points per game metrics from Dak Prescott, who honestly doesn't scramble a ton like he used to due to all these injuries. So a lot of this he's having to do through the air, and 36, 37 touchdowns is tending to be where he ends up high up in the rankings. So I love some Dak Prescott, and I think right now he's being undervalued because a lot of people are worried about his long-term outlook with the Cowboys. But as we've seen, these teams are desperate for just quarterback play. So I don't care. I know Dak Prescott is no Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Like, I know he's not going to be one of those guys. He's not even a Caleb Williams type value in Dynasty right now. But when you're looking at Dak Prescott in startups, he is going in the 3rd round, if not late 2nd. And when you're evaluating him as QB 15 in your Superflex leagues, that's absolutely amazing value that you cannot pass up because he's going behind guys like Trevor Lawrence, Jaden Daniels, Brock Purdy. Like, I understand the hype with Jaden Daniels. He's going to get the draft capital. It's exciting for him to be a Konami quarterback. We've talked about Trevor Lawrence, how I'm not a big Trevor Lawrence guy going into this year. He's kind of had like 1 decent fantasy football season, but we're still kind of relying on that overall first draft capital to finally kind of start to take shape. You got Brock Purdy, who's in an amazing offense for the 49ers. But why is Brock Purdy honestly ahead of Dak Prescott? Brock Purdy is a very good quarterback, but he hasn't had any type of points per game finishes as Dak. I know Dak's older, so you're putting a little bit of the longevity with Brock Purdy, but when we're talking these quarterbacks, like Dak Prescott, for all intents and purposes, is 30 years old. Russell Wilson is like 36, 37. Like, we see these quarterbacks play until the age of 36, 37. So if you can value in the fact that even if you get Dak for 4 more years, until he's 34, I think it's absolutely insane value that you have to be taking with Dak Prescott, because like we were saying, I'm taking those guys. Like, you could trade Brandon Ayuk straight up for Dak Prescott in a Superflex league. Give me some Dak Prescott. Like, quarterbacks are keen in that format. And let's go look at what some trades for Dak Prescott would be over here on Trade Calc. We got Dak Prescott and Dalton Kincaid for a round 1, round 2 pick. Now, imagine maybe that's somewhere like 104, somewhere in the 2nd round for Dak Prescott, Dalton Kincaid. Give me Dak Prescott and Dalton Kincaid. You have in a 1 quarterback, for those of you that play 1 quarterback, Dak Prescott for a 2nd round pick. If you need an elite level quarterback, that would be a price that I'm willing to pay. We come over here to another 1 quarterback deal. We got Dak Prescott for Trevor Lawrence in a round 3 pick. Now, we just showed you on Keep Trade Cut, you should be able to swap these guys straight up. But even in this deal, I still like some Dak Prescott. We keep moving. We got a 2024 round 1 pick for Dak Prescott. So could this be the 104? Is this someone that's going to be missing out on Jaden Daniels? I don't know. Even if it is Jaden Daniels for Dak Prescott, for me personally, why take the risk? Give me Dak if I'm contending and I need some quarterback help. Absolutely love that. Then we move on to this other 2 quarterback trade where we have a 2024 round 1, a 2025 round 1, and 2 seconds for Dak Prescott. Like, so 2 firsts, maybe 2.5 if you count the seconds. Give me some Dak Prescott. That's an insane value. I still like that if you need some quarterback help. Like, you could keep going down the line. Like, we got one where Dak Prescott and Jacoby Myers for Bryce Young and a 2025 round 1 pick. I mean, goodness gracious, give me some Dak Prescott. Great buy low candidate. So if you like Dynasty Fantasy Football, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, putting out the best Dynasty Fantasy Football content I can. We got some big guests coming up over the next few days. So like I said, I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Once you're here in the community we're building, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.